Hi, I'm Rich Lyons.
And I'm Deanna Joy Lyons.
We thank you for joining us on Living After Faith. Right now it's a podcast. There are more things to come in our program, but right now it's primarily a podcast where we communicate to you some things. And this one's going to be a little bit different. This one, you've heard me mention in some of the past episodes, PTSD. I've had a reoccurrence of some of my symptoms. One of those is avoidance, where something you really do want to do, but because it triggers certain emotions and certain things mentally, your brain shuts down and won't let you do it. So you find yourself like sitting in a chair and 8 hours later noticing it's dark and not knowing what happened to those 8 hours. And I've been kind of fighting this for a bit and finally acknowledged that what I'm going through is avoidance. I really want to do this podcast, but it's really, really difficult. So this one may not even be published, but we're going to do it anyway. Why?
Because we have to do it to get past it.
Exactly. So this is kind of some of what we work with. We were going to talk about a continuation of number 4, too fucked up to fuck. We may get to some of that, but I really think probably not, because I'm just going to be in the moment and let you kind of experience a little bit of what PTSD is like. Now, people who've never had to experience it and never seen anything, they're going to think, and that's fine. I really don't care. But there are some people out there who have experienced it and not recognized it. You've heard me mention a lot of times PTSD and how I was very fortunate that a girlfriend I was dating at that time was a shrink and recognized some symptoms. And chances are people who come out of faith, depending on a lot of things, genetics, how deeply they were in their cult, or whether it was really a culty cult or just a religious-y thing, depending on a lot of things, may or may not have PTSD. But those who do, I can almost promise you don't even recognize it.
It's kind of like depression. You don't know that you're depressed until somebody pokes you and goes, dude, you're depressed. Duh. And you go, what? I am? Oh, okay.
Because like depression, you're not always constantly sad. There can be moments that you don't feel sad, or that you don't associate your moments with being sad. With PTSD, and there are a lot of symptoms, and I can't really go into everything, but I can point out some things that may help you recognize some symptoms that you need help for. PTSD is not small potatoes. If you kill yourself, chances are it's going to be because PTSD is untreated. So that's why I'm very adamant. If you're listening to me, I want you to get that treated if you have it. What are your dreams like?
Mine?
Yeah.
Well, they tend to be replays of similar situations that have happened to me before or that will happen. Things like, work dreams, or I also have a lot of spy adventure dreams because I like James Bond movies and stuff. Yeah, they're not super fun. They're stressful, but they're not like terribly scary. I also have zombie dreams a lot where I'm like stuck in the house and zombies are trying to get in, and I'm trying to I run inside and shut the door, and I can't shut the door, and I try to nail it, and and sometimes my dreams are just random, just weird images.
Yeah. That all sounds fun and normal. Let me describe some of my PTSD dreams. I'm standing in the church where I used to pastor. And the key people who forced me out of that office and out of that position are there with me. And they begin to circle me. And they're all standing around, men and women. And they're not walking, but that circle begins to turn around me, where I'm seeing different people. And they all start chanting different things. And then all of the women in the group want to give me oral sex. But I notice their teeth are razor blades. But I have this fierce desire in me for unsatisfied sexual urges that is so intense that it's all I can do not to take them up on their offers.
Wow.
And I wake up screaming and running through the house trying to get away from them. One time I ran into a door, knocked myself unconscious.
Youch.
I'm not making this stuff up. You can't. Those kind of dreams are not normal dreams. Those kind of dreams, some of the things they tie to them, they have elements of where your trauma was, what traumatized you. They have current emotions where your fears are. And what a PTSD dream is, and I am sweating like a pig, what a PTSD dream is your brain trying to work through the things that hurt it and have a better outcome this time so that you'll be okay. But all this is done brainstem level. It's not done in your cerebral cortex. It's not done in your upper thinking system. It's all brainstem level. So what happens is you continually get re-traumatized time and time again by your dreams. And as long as that re-traumatization takes place, your PTSD is actually going to get worse, not better.
This makes a lot of sense to me now, because when we were sleeping last night, you were twitching and kicking and kind of moving around a lot. And I'm guessing that's kind of it's the PTSD kicking in. You got this podcast coming up.
We had already decided we were going
to do it. Yeah.
And it's, I'm having a hard time catching my breath. This is crazy. It is like so intense, and you're totally paralyzed. There's nothing you can do. And when you finally come out of it, I remember one of my first nights in Seattle, I was here in a car I couldn't afford. The only possessions I owned at the time fit in a suitcase. I had everything in a hotel room. I remember waking up, and I didn't recognize the room. Of course not. It's a hotel room. And I woke up, and I'm ripping through the place, trying to find the person who's screaming, because there's someone blood-curdling screams. I'm trying to find this person to help them. And finally, I realized it was me screaming. And I'm in this room, totally don't recognize anything. And I sit down in a corner and just wait, because I know that at least if I'm in the corner, they can't sneak up behind me and I can see them. You say, Rich, you sound crazy. I'm glad you get that. I'm glad you get that, because these were some of the things that led me to see a shrink. And I can't prescribe, I can't tell you what you need. You need a shrink who knows what PTSD is. And when you go to a shrink, ask them right up front, tell them right up front, I'm dealing with cult recovery. How experienced are you with PTSD and cult recovery? If they give you some nice line like, all mental illnesses stem from the same kind of root causes, and regardless of what brought it, say, fuck you very much, and walk away and find you someone who specializes. I got very lucky, because I got hooked up with someone who is not only very good and very interested in people who have cult Christian experiences, but also is outstanding with PTSD. It's so funny. I work in cutting edge news media. A couple of weeks ago, they came out with a story where they're using Prazosin, an old blood pressure medication, to treat people with PTSD. First thing it does, or the only thing it really does, is shuts down the dreams. You take it, you go to bed, you wake up, you feel a little groggy, but you had no dreams. The dreamer is shut down.
That's very good.
I cannot describe the peace that brought to me the first week I was on it. I had forgotten what it was like to wake up and feel rested. I had forgotten what it was like to wake up without just sweat and fear and intensity of emotions, 10 emotions going at once that you can't even describe, and no idea where they're coming from and where to put them and how to, I have to get ready for work. And it was so weird to just wake up and think, oh, wow, I slept 8 hours. Huh. I guess I take a shower. It was just so weird to have a normal wake up. And your PTSD may not be this intense, but if you have mornings like that, I urge you to get help. And I am so big on self-help. I have worked through a lot of things myself. My shrink has been proud of me, because I will go to her with things like, here's what happened and here's what I did and here's the outcome. And she's like, you're doing so good. You're problem solving for yourself and all that. There's some things you can't problem solve yourself. PTSD is one of those things. The intensity of the emotions, the constant re-traumatization. There are times you don't even remember the dreams, but you wake up with so much emotion going in so many different directions. You feel like you're going crazy. And I guess for lack of a better, I don't say this to people, I say this to me. There was a time that crazy is the only word I could use to describe me, because so many things couldn't connect in my life, my mind, the world, reality. There was such a big disconnect there that I couldn't really, and my wife is looking at me speechless because there's nothing anyone can say to that. I'm not there anymore. Am I crazy?
No, you are not.
Only in a fun way.
Only in a fun way.
I mean, when alcohol and frivolity is involved, I would urge you to get some help. Praisison was a lifesaver for me, literally. It was just days after the time that I ran into a door, knocked myself out, was late to work, that I was standing on the Aurora Bridge contemplating taking my own life. Days after that, my shrink got me on Praisison. And really, there was depression we dealt with. We medicated for that too. There were some things, but that got the ball rolling to get recovery started. And before you can get recovery, there's some of the symptoms that you've got to mitigate. And it takes medication to do that. Right now, I take 0 meds at all. Well, okay, I take Prilosec for GERD. But other than that, I mean, no mental meds. I'm not on any psych medications at all right now. I have come through that. Not ashamed to go back on them if I need to. But these are not the kind of medications they put you on and dumb you down and you're going to be medicated forever. I'm not even against those kind of meds. But the medicating of you so you can get better. And that's the goal with PTSD medications, is there is a place where you can have some recovery, a normal lifestyle where you can come through it. And I'm speaking to you from that side. My shrink, when I first got started, said 5 to 8 years. I did research online and cult recovery, 5 to 8 years. It was right at 5 years when my shrink said, Rich, you're healthy. That doesn't mean you'll never have a problem again. But the issues you're dealing with now are normal issues. You've attacked things in life. I had a major setback in life and rallied around it and totally attacked it and overcame that. And she's like, Rich, when I met you, this would have crushed you. You would have been just mushed. You wouldn't have had anything to respond with. And she said, you have just totally rallied. I guess the reason I'm saying that is there is hope. And yeah, right now I am in a cold sweat. I am pushing through the tendencies, the thing that wants to stop me because it knows it's a scary place to be. Last time you were there, you were hurt. Don't go there. You'll get hurt again. But there comes a place where you can be like where I am right now, not totally symptom free, but I can fight that. I can push through it. I can say, I understand. I'm not thinking with my brainstem. I understand how close I am to where I was hurt. But I'm not out of control this time. No one controls me but me. I don't have to yield to some unknown God. I don't have to yield to a list of rules and regulations in the Bible and out. I don't have to submit to men who are following this unknown God. I do not have to submit to the chaos. Instead, I can control the chaos. I control exactly how far I go. I'm not being forced into things that are beyond my control that will traumatize me. I'm not being tied down by rules and regulations and raped mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. What I'm doing right now is just normal. I'm just talking.
I'm so proud of you.
Someone out there, someone needs to hear. They've come out of religion and they just aren't right. They've come out of religion and just can't pull it together. They've left a church and can't figure out where to go and just can't get it to click. And this may have been going on a week, a month. It may have been going on 10 years, because if you don't get treatment, your 5 to 8 years doesn't start until you start getting help. So where are you right now? Are you hurt? Is your mind messed up? Or you just can't make it all come together? Hardest thing. I had it easy. You know, people say, wow, I'm proud of you. My wife just said that. I had it easy. I had a relationship with someone who insisted I get help. And the person I'm talking to right now doesn't know me from Adam, but I sincerely hope that you'll take my advice. I'd force you if I could, but I can't. But I sincerely hope that you'll say, okay, I've hurt long enough. I've been disconnected from me long enough. I've been at a place mentally that I can't make my life even seem worth living. Marilyn Manson, I want to live, I want to love, but it's a long, hard road out of hell. I remember the place thinking, I can't live. This is not living. I don't like this. On the bridge, and I haven't told why, on the bridge, I decided I couldn't die. I couldn't kill myself. And the reason I decided that, cut this out, I told it and I cut it out. I looked at my telephone just habitually and checked the time. And when I did, I saw my screensaver, which was a picture of my daughter. And I could literally hear the words of people at my funeral telling her, never leave the church. When you leave the church, this is what will happen to you. Look at your daddy. That's not the man you knew. When you leave the church, this is what will happen to you. And I couldn't let myself be the force that locked her in that bondage forever. I couldn't be the one. I've not tried to take her out. I've not done anything like that. Long story there, but her life is hers to choose. But I was not going to be the force that didn't allow her to make her choice. I was not going to be the one who loved her and now locks her into that bondage through her own emotions. That's why I walked off that bridge. That's why I said I can't live like this, but I can't die. So I've got to learn to live. And that's when I decided to get help and live. I hope you don't have to go through that. But someone out there needs you. Someone out there loves you. And the only way you can help them is to help yourself. And if I make anything here in this podcast at all, it's this appeal. Understand you probably are strong enough to get through it by yourself, but you probably aren't well enough educated. And you can't just Google it online, because there's everything from eat a berry to say a prayer to get acupuncture to, the good dream fairies will come if you put something under your pillow. I mean, there's so much garbage out there. Go to a professional. Go to someone who has medical training, is a medical professional, someone who can, and you may have to hunt, you may have to search. I'm lucky. I'm in Seattle. Some of the best PTSD research in the world is done out of Joint Base Lewis McChord. So because of that, because there's a huge striker brigades there that deal with thousands and thousands of soldiers who have PTSD, this is kind of the center of the world for that. So I benefited through their issues. But if I could say anything, life gets much better the first time you wake up without the PTSD dreams. And even if you don't remember your dreams, if you're waking up traumatized, you know what I'm talking about. The first time you wake up, I remember getting coffee, running down to the corner coffee store. I'm coming back. It was on the way back that I realized, wow, I didn't have any kind of weird stuff when I woke up today. Such a different experience. And that experience is waiting for anyone you got to do the work. I can't say it's just going to be easy. But when you get the medication, all of a sudden, the odds so turn in your favor. When you get somebody who's there, and the first time I told one of these dreams, I thought my shrink was going to laugh in my face. But she started saying and asking questions about things in my past, and it all began to tie together. And I began to realize it's not just that I am fucked up. Yeah, I was. But there was reason in it all, and purpose in it all, and a way for things to get better. And it does. You can get better. And today has been probably one of the hardest things I have done in months, but it's because I'm pushing the limits. I'm taking it into some hard places, but to help people, sometimes you have to do that, and that's what I'm doing. So today we didn't laugh too much, but we are living after faith.
Come laugh with me.